Hello, my name is Jarita Tuggle, and I am currently a student earning a master's degree in learning technologies from Fontbonne University. I am truly enjoying being a student in this program because I have learned a variety of techniques that are useful for my classroom instruction. As it relates to 21st century learners and teaching, engaged instruction is the key to effectively teaching today's students. I have been teaching for over 13 years and have had the privilege of teaching both elementary and middle school students. Unfortunately, I noticed that when students enter middle school, there seems to be a drastic change in the amount of motivation and the willingness that they have to learn. The drive of a middle schooler and their morale seems to take a huge dive in the wrong direction. It's almost impossible to keep them motivated with normal and common classroom instruction. Fortunately, we are in a time where technology is prominent and the opportunities are endless for technological use. Today's students are eager to learn and use technology whenever possible because they are used to using technology in almost everything that they do. So, therefore, technology holds their attention and allows them to learn what it is that we are trying to teach. There are a large amount of technological tools that can be used with students and that are easy to teach them and a great way for them to show us that they understand various concepts in the classroom. One of these ways is to allow students to visually show what they have learned and show the content in a way that allows them to be creative. Today I'm going to talk to you about implementing interesting infographics, the 3 I's, implementing interesting infographics in your classroom. I am beginning by showing you an infographic that explains the differences between using traditional and the alternative. The traditional being basic classroom instruction, and alternative being a jazzed up way of using an infographic in addition to a regular document that you use in the classroom. So this infographic kind of gives you some steps or shows you how you can incorporate infographics in your classroom. Infographics, the word infographics that is a combination of two words, information and graphics. Infographics have been around for many years. One of the first infographics that was created by Florence Nightingale over 100 years ago. She created an infographic to show causes of mortality. Another infographic that has been around for many years is the periodic table of elements. It's definitely an infographic. It shows you the different elements that are used to create different chemicals in our on the earth. Infographics have been used in the business world for many years, but now they are being used across different situations, namely in the education realm. There are 4 basic types of infographics. The first one being statistical. Statistical infographics focus on graphs and data. So I've given you an example of a statistical infographic here about the United States and its economy. The second type of infographic is process-based. Process-based infographics focus on steps, namely things such as recipes. So therefore, I am showing you an example of a process-based infographic here. This one shows you how to make a cheese toastie, something cute to look at, and also to even share with your students if you want to show them examples of different infographics. Another infographic is a timeline infographic. Timelines are chronological and they normally give information among different years, different months, different days. It doesn't really matter, but it's just a timeline of information that's provided. And I've also shown you an example of a timeline that starts and brings us all the way up to 2012 about the evolution of different types of hair. And the last type of infographic that we're looking at is a geography infographic. Geography infographics normally focus on landforms, land types and different things that are a part of the earth and the way that the world and the earth is made up. So here's an example of a geography infographic here that talks about the different landforms of the world. So why should we use infographics in the classroom? One reason to use infographics in the classroom is to provide those students an opportunity to see the content that you want to teach them. Allow them, instead of to just listen as in terms of a lecture, but let them see your content. If you create an infographic for your classroom and you show different things, then students are able to visually see what it is that you're trying to tell them. And normally infographics would follow some type of format. So therefore, the students will be able to follow the process of what it is you're teaching from beginning to end by looking at your infographic. Infographics also break down complex information. So if students don't really understand what it is you're teaching, sometimes when they visually see it, it works a lot better for them, and it often clicks in their mind, and they're able to remember what it is that you've taught. It allows students to easily understand by being less intimidated. Sometimes the information that we provide students with causes them to be intimidated a lot of times because they don't understand what we're talking about. But when they see it, they can understand it better. Students can also then create their own infographics. You can in turn have them turn around and show you what it is that they've learned. And a lot of times their infographics will show you a different way to explain your information because they're giving it to you the way that they understand it, and that way they can regurgitate that information visually as well. And it will also increase their motivation and engagement. If you allow students to work in partners or groups to create infographics, then it will allow them to collaborate with each other, and it will also allow them to converse with each other to hear what their classmates have to say as well about content that they have learned in the past. This next slide shows you about giving students steps to create their own infographics. The first thing that students need to do is determine. By determine, that means to determine the content. What is it that they want to show in an infographic? They need to be able to compile all of their information that has to do with one related topic and all of the content that you have given them, and maybe content that they've taken notes on and or researched, to be able to regurgitate that information in an infographic. So first they need to determine what it is that they want to put in an infographic. Then they need to decide what type of infographic they want to use. Either one of the 4 infographics that we've talked about previously, or they may have some other type of infographic. But basically, they need to determine what type of infographic is best for the content that they want to convey. The next thing that you should have students do is sketch their infographic. Even if they cannot draw or they're not the best artists, they should still be able to sketch it, maybe with words, but they should be able to determine where everything should go and how they want everything to look in their particular infographic. They also need to be able to create it. Either you could have students create an infographic by drawing the infographic. Those are for those students that are artistically savvy. But I would recommend allowing students to create an infographic by using the computer, using the technology that you have available and readily available to you. There are many free resources that you can find online where students will be able to create excellent infographics. And the last thing that they should be able to do is present their infographic. They should be able to get up in front of the class and and present to their peers by explaining their content by the infographic that they have created. So those are 5 basic steps to give your students if you would like them to create their very own infographics. I've also included some great tools for creation. Kathy Schrock's Guide to Infographics, she provides assessment information and different links to infographic information online that you may want to share with your students and that you may want to go over on your own. There's also a website, 46 Tools for Infographics Creation, that provides quite a bit of information for creating infographics. Easily, EASEL.ly, is a website that is free, that is an excellent site to use for creating an infographic that is either for you or for your students. And I've also included a tutorial video that you can watch, and it's about a 6-minute video that you can watch about Easily for creating infographics. Excellent tool to use for infographic creation. And last but not least, Microsoft Word is a very simple way for students to go in and create an infographic. I've actually created an infographic in Microsoft Word by using clip art pictures that I found online and in Microsoft Word to create an infographic about comprehension, opening the door to comprehension. And I actually created it in Microsoft Word myself. So students can also use pictures and words and the word art to create their own infographics simply in Microsoft Word. Also an excellent tool for them to use. So this actually concludes my presentation on infographics and how to implement them into your classroom. Remember that when you implement interesting infographics, you will help to increase motivation and engagement of your students. And students will be able to grasp the content that you teach and be able to retain what you have taught in the classroom. And thank you so much for teaching our children. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day.